Hello everybody! A couple of days ago I put up a poll and you guys voted that you wanted to see Buster Blader as the next deck on the channel. So here we are. I'll keep posting polls so you guys can help decide what videos I make. So keep an eye out on my community tab or in your feed here on YouTube. Buster Blader is a fusion synchro engine, and I would call it more of an engine than a full deck. The basic Buster Blader combo works like a Bagooska, but it only affects the opponent, negating their board and forcing it into defense position. These 9 cards are all you need in a deck to play Buster Blader, so feel free to splash it in anything. It doesn't really lock itself that harsh, so it's easily splashable. You can of course also play a little beefier package, and that would look like this. The most popular decks to combine with Buster Blader are branded. Here are some example deck lists. And here is an example of a deck list if I had more time to grind URCP, slotting in an adventure engine and getting some upgrades in the extra deck. I had to make concessions thanks to time and some subpar deck building choices. So here is my list. I decided to play the deck pure. I splashed in a small metal dragon engine with black metal dragon and red ice darkness. Let's get into the card by card. First off, we got the black metal dragon. It's a 1 card DPE. He can be linked off for striker dragon, which then searches the darkness metal dragon, which then banishes the striker dragon, brings back the black metal dragon, and then we link the black metal and the darkness for Verte. A solid opener if we don't open the next card, Buster Whelp of the Destruction Swordsman. This is our main starter. It searches a trap called Prologue, which sets up our Buster Blader combo. Dragon Buster Destruction Sword. If we have this set up in our graveyard, we can equip it when we summon Buster Dragon, using its quick effect, locking our opponent from special summoning from the extra deck as long as this card is still equipped on the field. It's kind of inconsistent, but damn is it powerful when you pull it off. Magician's Souls is a level 1 which fits the deck's theme. It can also special summon itself and is searchable off of Illusion of Chaos. Has some draw power too. It's a couple of solid cards for the deck. DPE engine, I'll cover this one in one fell swoop. Everyone should know these cards by now. DPE pops a card on both sides of the field and summons itself back every standby should it get destroyed, even by its own effect. Buster Blader, the Destruction Swordsman, and the regular Buster Blader. It's a Garnet, so we play 2 so we don't completely brick if we draw one. Where Arfdow, it's basically a Rota for level 1s, which really helps with consistency. There's probably some genius out there that have figured out the optimal small world bridges for everything, but for us a little less gifted, where Arfdow will suffice. Super Poly, if I could go back, I wouldn't go for this card, but we all make subpar decisions sometimes. Still a solid card that has allowed me to go for surprise OTKs by using my own stuff to get an extra attack in, but if I could, I would replace this and the black metal dragon with the adventure engine. Destruction Sword Memories can discard a Destruction Sword card to special summon a Buster Blader from the deck. It's unlikely to come up. We use this card for its graveyard effect, and rarely do we actually want to draw it. Its graveyard effect reads: you can banish this card from the graveyard, fusion summon one Buster Blader, the Dragon Destruction Swordsman, by banishing material from your graveyard. Basically gets our big fusion boy out on the field, and then this is helped along by the prologue of the Destruction Swordsman. It reads: send a Destruction Sword and a Buster Blader from your deck to the graveyard, special summon one Buster Dragon from your extra deck. The funny thing here is that we can actually send the other trap card, the Memories, setting up in the graveyard along with the material it needs for the fusion summon. So this is our basic combo. We use Prologue, set up our graveyard with memories and materials, banish using memories to get out the big fusion, and then together they negate the entire board and forces everything to defense position. Finally, in the main deck, Trap Trick, which will help us find Prologue if we don't open a Whelp, or maybe memories if we have to use Prologue only for materials. The rest of the main deck is hand traps or similar staples like Called by the Grave. And then in the extra deck we have Buster Blader, the Dragon Destruction Swordsman. It gains 1000 attack for every dragon your opponent controls, then changes all dragons the opponent controls to defense position, and also they can't activate their effects. It can't attack directly, it does piercing damage, and is our main boss monster. It works like a big Bagooska, which is pretty damn strong. When combined with Buster Dragon, it gets clearer why this combo is strong. Buster Dragon simply forces all of your opponent's monsters to become dragons. It does have a secondary effect. During our opponent's turn, we can equip a Destruction Sword monster to one of our Buster Bladers from the grave. If we can set up the DBDS in the graveyard before going into the combo, we can extra deck lock our opponent on turn 1 and skill drain them. Then we have a Starving Venom and Predaplant Drago. Both of these are just super poly targets. Starving Venom gets big and can copy an effect on the opponent's field. Predaplant Drago is a monster negate. Then we have Kiki Nagashi Fusho, unaffected by other cards' effect, can make itself indestructible by combat by detaching 2 materials. If we go second, we can go into Fusho, punch into our opponent's stuff, then stack Downerd on top of it, and then a Zeus on top of that, which can clear the board and get stuff ready. It's pretty strong. Then we have Relinquished Anima, can steal a monster from the opponent and equip it to this card. I just happened to pull this guy from Master Packs, but it works really well in this deck since it requires a level 1 monster to summon. Striker Dragon, used for the Black Metal Dragon DPE combo I covered earlier. Protector Whelp of the Destruction Swordsman. If this is Link summoned, we can send a Destruction Sword card to the graveyard, and then we can special a Buster Blader from hand. It can set up anything we need in the graveyard, and if we have a Buster Blader in hand, we can extend using it, which means that we can go into Verte after setting up our graveyard with the Protector Whelp. Can also burn our opponent, but that rarely comes up. Verte Anaconda summons DPE or grabs Super Poly from the deck, enough said. And then finally Avermax. Sometimes we end with a bunch of small monsters. This can help us convert up into something more useful. And that's the list. Let's get into a basic combo. So here is a super basic combo with the Buster Blader deck. I'm gonna start with Magician's Soul, special summoning that card. And then its second effect here is gonna be quite useful. Since we don't need these in hand, we can actually activate its effect and just send them off to the graveyard and draw 2 fresh ones off the top. Can then go Buster Whelp, search the Prologue, then we can go into Verte. Use Verte, send the Fusion Destiny, summon the DPE, put that in defense right there. Then we can set the Prologue, and I'll set the Super Poly, keep the Call By as a discard fodder for Super Poly. Yeah, and our opponent does chain some stuff here, so we can pretend that he summoned some monster that activated its effect. We can then chain the Prologue, sending the... Since we don't need to send the memories, we can actually set up the Dragon Buster Destruction Sword and a Buster Blader Engrave. Then we can actually chain this on our opponent's turn. So we get this nice chain link right here. this will summon out the big guy, and we will use these two as material. Summon him right there. Prologue, summon the Buster Dragon. This effect is gonna go off. We're gonna use the Buster Dragon effect and equip the DBDS. And that will then be a Bagooska lock on their field. Anything they summon will be forced into defense position. And they are extra deck locked, which means they can't use their extra deck. And if they can't use their monster effects, they can't use their extra deck, we're pretty likely to have locked them quite well. Then the Prologue can also banish itself to protect the Dragon Buster, so that's also really useful. Of course, we got DP, we have this nice setup. So that is a basic combo with the Buster Blader deck. Of course, you can splash this into anything that doesn't really need to use its normal summon, so keep that in mind. But with that, I'm gonna wrap up this video. Thank you guys for watching. Leave a like, subscribe, comment, you know the drill. I'll see you guys later. Bye.